Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Aligning with Success. I'm Mike DiMuccio, your host. Today is August the 9th, year's 2021, in case you're watching some of the replays from way back when, which I actually saw some just over the last few days, some reminders of some calls that were pretty darn good. So if you're looking for a library of information to keep people interested, excited, working on their skills, send them to Aligning with Success, the playlist on the YouTube channel for the Royal Alliance. There's a plethora of interesting conversations there, great knowledge. I know I used most of my, in fact, today, if anybody's driving, they're usually spending at least an hour in traffic. They could be using that time either to contact somebody, which is a good use of time, best use of time, or following up somebody, or simply learning. And yeah, that was how I did it. That's how I learned what other people were saying and doing to improve my understanding of how to get better at this. Anyways, we have a guest tonight. I've asked Sophia, our newest silver in Canada, to join the call. Hey.
Thanks, everyone.
And by the way, before we get into that, I want to congratulate Canada, period. We had our second quarter update with Niken, and Canada is blowing it wide open. 36% increase in Canada in the first half of this year over last year, and responsible for 2/3 of all the growth in North America, the little Canadian market, which represents 10% of the population of North America. So way to go, Canada. And of course, blazing a trail there is my good friend, Leo Lemay, who is also the top MVP for the first half of this year, which is no surprise to me because he's always in the top of the scorecard in Canada. And since Canada's leading away, we got to say, congratulations, Leo, you are setting the pace for North America. And that's awesome. And just a reminder for those of you who haven't heard Leo tell his story, he focuses on two things. What are the two things you focus on, Leo?
Do my 500 point each month and Club KI.
Club KI, which is 4,000 points, 12,000 4,000 point group volume every quarter.
12,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4,000 a month, 12,000 for the quarter. Correct. Thank you for correcting me. So there you go.
And you win the trip.
And you win the trip, which is not important, but you do like it. So where are we going this year? Next year?
Dubai.
So far Dubai is leading the
I have already 80% of the trip to do.
Fantastic. Wow. And I think there may be one more on this call that may have won the trip already. Is there anybody that I missed that's won the trip already? I know you're closing in, Madeline, if you haven't already done it.
Not with the retail, not with the retail.
So that's coming. That's coming.
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. Not yet.
Okay.
Ruth is the lead on the retail.
Very good.
Well, yeah, Barb Satterwhite has. Barb Satterwhite.
Barb Satterwhite has already achieved that, which is phenomenal. That's the first time we've had anybody do it in the first 6 months. So that's crazy good. And, you know, this brings up an interesting point because there is an obvious change that's taking place, especially in Canada with respect to growth. And one of the things that I had mentioned, and it's sort of an old staple in our business, and that is what you measure matters, meaning if you don't measure it, you're not bringing value to it, it doesn't matter, has no meaning. And what you measure and recognize multiplies. And so I started, I don't know now, it's 2 years maybe, 2 years ago or so, recognizing the top level achievements of personal volume, those who achieve 500 points in volume for the month, just in Canada. So I publish this list every month. I'm waiting for the numbers from Niken to publish this past July's record. So it publishes the 5 people who achieve 500 points in Canada and people who are in the top 10 for PGV in Canada. Mary, I think Mary Robson was on the top of the list in both categories, I believe. So, so since I started doing that, here's what I've been watching. I've been watching the number of people hit 500 points increase. The other thing I've been watching is the top 10 volumes. they've been slowly inching up as well. So the overall volumes in the top 10 group have been inching up overall. So yeah, I mean, that supports the theory that what you measure matters, and what you measure and recognize multiplies. So I think that's something to take note of for your business, and maybe start applying it, keeping score and recognizing the achievements. One of the reasons why NICAN does that in their reports every month and their quarterly reports is so that we can see the scorecard that they're keeping and how they're measuring their business successes. I recently, just for your sake, I was on the kickoff call for Latin America for August, and I took some screen captures of the top volumes in Latin America. And if I could figure out how to use my phone, it'd be easy to find, but that's not going to be the case. Okay, so don't know, all photos, there we go. All right, so here's an interesting thing. So I was looking, and what they do is they broke it down by country. So they recognize the top PPV and the top PGV per country. And I was really, really impressed with the numbers, and particularly also impressed with the fact that we're in line with those numbers here in our North American numbers for the top volumes. So I can't find it. It's not showing up. Quick finger access, but I'll just tell you what I noticed. Oh, here it is. So for instance, in their top personal volume, their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, top 5 was ranging between 4,500 points and 6,800 points. That's personal volume. And then, oh, correction, it goes up as high as 7,300 points. Then I looked at group volume, and their top group volume was 14,900 points, and ranging down to about 7,500 points. So somewhere between 7,500 points and, I don't know, 14, 15,000 points is the group volume numbers for those who are the top achievers in the month of July. So just measure yourself against that, because we always hear Latin America, Latin America, Latin America. And you're wondering, okay, so what are they doing in Latin America? Well, there's just a lot of them doing it, which is why the numbers are so huge. But when you actually break it down to the top numbers, who's doing what, that kind of gives you some perspective as to how you're doing relative to the Latin American, success story. So that's good to know. Good feedback. Anyways, also hitting those numbers this past month, Sophia, what was your PGV for your month of July?
PGV is just me or my group?
You and your group.
4,000 OV.
Okay, so 4,000. So lion's share of her volume for silver came in last month, which is no surprise, her third month. And building for that, I think the previous 2 months was somewhere around 1,400 or 1,500 points.
Yeah. No, I think it was just under 3,000, because I had another 3,000 to go to hit silver. And then I did 4,000.
Okay, let me switch my view here so we get speaker view. We can see a little bit more clearly. Okay, so first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, I know for all of us who have done silver, we know what it's like. When you first go silver, it's like, wow, it's like I got something done, and it's measurable. It's on the scorecard. It's even being recognized. You'll soon be seeing your name in the NICAN postings, which come up after the 15th. I don't know when they're going to post it sometime mid-month. And then you'll see it go through all of the social media stuff. You'll see your name on the list of recognition. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, I don't think I remember telling you, you do have to submit a photo so that they can do that recognition for you. So maybe you could send a photo to Ruben that you'd like to have the world recognize you for. This is your first achievement. I remember when I went gold, which is not much further ahead, I was on the cover of the NICAN magazine. That's how few of us there were. There were so few of us. I got a cover story. Anyway, so with respect to doing silver, there's a few things I'm gonna go through. One from your perspective. So just kind of walk us through it. What's going through your mind leading up to it? For the first 90 days is what we encourage people to get the job done. It's a theory, Most people ignore what we teach, but some don't. And those that actually apply themselves and get the job done, they're setting a pace for themselves and others to follow. And it does come back. And I'm going to open the floor because most of you have done this, and it's good to get some feedback. But so give us a few words on your experience going silver.
What do you mean? A few words, like after the fact, or like
Leading up to,
leading up to it?
like, was there any doubt?
No, I knew I was going to go silver.
When did you know you were going to go silver? When was that even on your radar?
When you said to me, you're halfway to silver. Next month, you're going to go silver. And I said, okay. Next month in July, I'm going to go silver. Like, I just made it. I understand that fundamentally, like, when you decide to do something, that's the trigger point. It's not, let's see if it happens. It's, you make a decision to do it and that happens. So I just decided that, okay, I'm halfway there. I can get it done in this month. I'm going to make a decision to do that. And I decided July is when I go silver.
Which, by the way, traditionally is one of the crappiest months in the year for our business. You know, everybody's on holidays, so things slow down. So to do the business in July and hit silver is sort of a double achievement because of that.
And I really leveraged that promotion that Nikan was doing, the
Okay.
20% cash credit. That's something that I used to get people to make a decision that month. Conversations that I'd been maybe having for like a month, for a few weeks prior, actually getting people to take action on the words they had said to me about, oh, I really like this product, I'm definitely going to buy it, but then doing nothing. And I told them, well, this month you have the opportunity to get a 20% cash credit. And it even reminding them for several weeks throughout the month, it wasn't until the last week that I was like, it's now or never, guys. If you want to take advantage of this amazing promotion.
Okay, I got to switch this to gallery view because this is one of the questions that come up. And I'm going to remind everybody, there is an audio called Silver's a Blast. Okay, it's on YouTube. Just look it up, Silver's a Blast. It was an interview like this that I did of a number of people who had achieved silver, and it's going to showcase for you what I'm hoping to showcase for you tonight is what actually happens. And you just mentioned something that happens, Sophia. So I lost you. There you are. Okay. Raise a hand if you're a silver. If you're a silver right now, raise your hand. Or no, if you've become silver at some point, if you're beyond silver or beyond, raise your hand on the call here. It's just, I want to see your face. If you're beyond, okay. So not everybody's on screen, but pretty much everybody on this call has at least done silver. Okay. So what I'd like to do now is ask you, for those of you who remember, when more than, let's say, half of the volume came in the last week of the month. If that was the case for you, raise your hand if that was the case for you. Okay, take a look, Sophia. That is the majority of everybody on this call. So one of the things that is typical is most of the volume that comes in that last week because the decision was made, the commitment was made.
Yeah.
And okay, let's not just give it all away. So the decision was made, but you did say something, you were sowing seeds. So there was a lot of seeds that you had been planting and
yes.
Now it was time to reap the harvest.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you used an incentive. The incentive was really well-timed to be able to leverage that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do traditionally when I'm working with somebody to go silver, remember, from my point of view, them going silver has a number of benefits. One, it benefits for the organization to see progress. When people see progress, when you recognize achievement, it multiplies. And so it's important to have that happen. So as an upline, as a person who has the means to sprinkle some stardust into the situation, I can also sprinkle incentives. So one of the things that if Nikan wasn't running such a great incentive, I would be inclined to do is sprinkle some incentives to see if we can facilitate, similar to what Nikan was offering, not exactly the same, but I'd make something up. Sometimes it's unique to the situation in terms of an incentive for either the product or for some points. But the bottom line is, when it's important, such as an advancement in rank to silver or above, that's when you want to think about leveraging incentives, starting with whatever Niken's running. So I'm glad, Sophia, your intuition kicked in and you were really working that. What
Mhm.
else would you say you were doing?
Like actual practical strategies. A lot of follow-up, like a ton of follow-up several times, because you follow up with someone, they don't answer you, and then I would wait a few days, follow up again. I would just hold people to their word, basically, and hold people accountable for what they said they were going to do. And I would break down, like, I would break things down. I would make a lot of recommendations of what I think are really great products for someone and for their certain needs. And then I would break down, like, what would this actually cost you, like, on a daily basis. So I learned that, like, a water pack, especially if you use the 20% cash credit and you spend that on replacement filters, it would be $1.34 a day for a year of clean alkaline water. And then after that, it just gets less expensive because you already have the system in place. I learned that if you were to buy an air filter, it would cost you about $270 a day for a year of clean air. And again, it just
You
gets
mean
less.
$2.70?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
day,
Sorry.
right.
$2.70 a day. I don't know what I said, but
270, but it's okay. We
yeah,
got the point.
$2.70 a day for a year of, like, the best air you can breathe inside your home. And then it gets less expensive after that point. So I would use these terms to show people how practical it was to buy these, to make this investment, because it literally will cost you less than a cup of coffee every day for something that's going to help you live a longer and healthier life. So kind of getting people over those mental barriers of, like, this big number that they're seeing, which honestly, I feel like all the Niken products are very reasonably priced for what they are. But people have their own mental hurdles, so you have to kind of help them get through that. So this is one of the ways that I would do that in terms of,
Bob
like,
Proctor would call that reducing it to the ridiculous.
yeah.
Good.
So I did that a lot, and I think that helped people understand the value of the investment they were making and just how doable it was. Other things that I did, I made it, like, I honestly generated, like, a lot of conversations during that time period, whether it was just, like, bringing into people into the process of looking at the business opportunity, or actually just calling people
So with respect to that,
straightforwardly about, like, buying a waterfall system.
with respect to that, in terms of your numbers, so we get an understanding. Now we keep a scorecard. We look at every step that somebody's in the process. So we track where in the process they are, or how far along the process they've gone. We found, obviously, speaking for Sophia, we found that the more steps a person went through, the more likely they were going to register as a consultant and actually take action with respect to ordering some products. We've been tweaking this process, and still are, to find where we might have some shortfalls. But in terms of conversations that engage somebody in the process of some kind, how many were there?
About 25, but this was also, like, over probably about a 2-month period, not just the 1-month period, but there was a lot of, like, follow-up.
Okay, so
With people
25
that I initially
people.
engaged in the first month, and then we're bringing it into, like, the second month.
So 25 people would be an average of 1 every 2 days on average. If you're looking at this in terms of tracking it, obviously it didn't happen that way. It would be in batches, but still, that's not, consider this for those of you who are looking at this as a playback. If you were going to start a business of any kind, and you told the bank, I could really use the money to start this business. You can count on me, but I'm only going to open the business every other day. And I'm only going to talk to one person every other day. Would you loan me the money? I don't care what business it is. I don't think that any bank would loan you the money, because that doesn't seem like a very logical business plan. But yet, even in Niken, with a pace, and the key here is some consistency. Even if it's 1 every other day, or 1 a day for 2 or 3 weeks, there needs to be some consistency, because that's the compounding effect, which is an effect that is a concept. I think it was Einstein who said compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. So there's a phenomenon based on compounding, and that means there has to be some rhythm to it, some frequency to it. So for those of you who are wondering, what's it take when you enroll somebody, if they're not willing to do at least one contact every other day, it's going to take at least that. Anyway, Sophia, that's still really good. I'm going to tell you right now, let's go back to view. Show of hands, those of you who have done silver, how many of you think 25 contacts to achieve the rank silver is above average? If you think it's above average, raise your hand. Anybody? If 25 is below average, raise your hand. Meaning you would expect to have contacted more than 25 people. If you believe normally it's about 30. It's about 30 people is the average number that we've experienced in Nikken. There's about 30 people needed to achieve the rank of silver. So how many of you would agree with that number? Raise your hand. Some of you aren't even raising your hand. You're not raising your hand at all. If you're a silver, do you agree that there's at least 30 people involved in achieving the rank of silver? Okay, now I'm starting to see the hands raising. Okay, yeah. Okay, so 25 is actually a pretty good number. It's better than the average. Okay, now we're going to get to fast forward to today, Sophia. So what do you know about the rank of silver? What do you know about its benefits?
I know that it offers, like, I have unlocked the leadership bonuses on 2 generations of my downline. I know that I can maximize my commissions on volume that my group is doing, and all my own personal sales as well. Like with the waterfall, I know there's a higher performance commission for silver. That's pretty much all that I know, to be honest.
Well, that's pretty much all that there is. But the only other thing that I would add is what I added earlier, and that is by setting the pace, your story, your story, your Nikken story. You've heard me on, I don't know how many calls now, at least probably all 20, 24, 25 calls, maybe not all of them, but you've heard me at least 20 times tell my story. And so your effectiveness as an A, in terms of your ability to influence people now that you are going to be put in that position of being an A, you now have a story, and your story includes what got you excited about this, how you got started, and what you saw in your first 90 days. We still don't know what your check is. That's going to be posted tomorrow in your back office. Those of you who don't know, on the 10th of the month is usually when the commissions are calculated. You can go into your back office, click on My Business.
I did get a deposit from Nikken a few days ago.
That was probably a retail commission.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the retail commissions are weekly, and the monthly commissions on overrides, things like that, rebates and overrides, that's paid monthly. That would come on the 15th of the following month, which would be the 15th of this month, but they're calculated. You can see them on the 10th. So, we've learned what you've learned. What would your advice be to yourself if you had to do this again?
I mean, I don't know if I would do anything different than what I did, but I would probably just say to myself that I would just say to myself what I was saying to myself, which is just do everything Papa says. He knows what he's talking about. Because although it was very uncomfortable at times, most of the time, honestly, especially in the last 2-week period, it was like super uncomfortable. But I had my dad there, like holding me accountable, and like first thing in the morning, he's asking me like, okay, what do we got going on today? Like, who are we talking to today? Or like, where are the possibilities, or where this value could come from? And like, he was really just like on me like that. And I appreciated that because I had decided to go for the school and I wanted to do it. But like actually being the one to like hold people accountable and follow up with people was uncomfortable. And I talked to him about this like inner kind of struggle I was facing, where I was like, I don't know how to distinguish between whether I'm being like selfish and like selly and like just wanting to do things for myself so I can get this next goal, or if I'm actually being in service, because I always want to be in service to people. Like, this is what I talk about all the time. And my dad just looked at me and he turned to me and he said, you know, like we're in the business of helping people make a decision that's in their best interest. No one is getting scammed here when they're buying a waterfall. They're doing something that's going to help them live a longer, happier life. And so by following up with them, by being that person that helps them get to that point of decision, you are being in service to them. And that's, I guess, what I would tell myself, like starting like back a month ago, is just like remembering that every dollar I make in Nikken is because someone's going to feel better after, you know, and people are not in the habit of making decisions that are in their best interest. And that's why they need a little push sometimes. So, yeah.
So let's talk about that, because there's been some rough edges, and and every single person on this call has gone through what you are currently going through. And it's, again, you're in the uncomfortableness. So here's where you guys in the audience get to chime in first with a show of hands. So let me just go back to gallery view. And again, a show of hands, folks. If anybody you signed up in Nikken when you were going silver quit on you before they actually did anything. Sign of hands if they quit on you before they actually did anything. Okay, look at that.
Yep.
I'm happy. Like, this is giving me a lot of relief.
I have something to share if you may.
Okay, wait,
okay.
who's jumping in here? Oh, okay, go ahead. Angelica, go ahead.
Okay, hello, everyone. Yeah, so something really crazy happened to me today, okay? At my beginning, I had this person that he basically started, but then just like quit like that and disappear even from the Facebook. He didn't talk to me and I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, what happened? Like, what did I do wrong? And I felt bad because it was like all the investment he did and nothing. And so what's going on, right? And today, after 2 years, I saw him on the street and I literally parked my car and I say, hey, hello, like, how are you doing? And anyway, so it was like universe brought me this person, and then he was like, oh no, I was just doing something else. I was just interested in something. I was like, no problem. Or I was like, okay, me worrying about it. But anyway, just to share that with you guys today.
Okay, well, we had a funny signal, but yeah, we got it all. Okay, so you were worrying for nothing because you didn't know what was happening, but you made up a story in your head. But there it was, a person, in this case, they bought products and did nothing. Has anybody here ever signed, show of hands, have you signed up somebody who said all the right things and bought 0 products? Anybody? Show of hands. Again, take a look. Okay, so this is not a weird thing. This is not an unusual thing. This is somewhat common. Okay, so let's see, what else we got?
Mike, I'd like to mention the ABC. Right before this call, Sophia did an ABC for a linear team. I have a silver and she has an executive, a 41-year-old with a 20-year-old daughter. So the power of that ABC with Sophia particularly, and her engaging the others. And so what she said is that she used you and you were the A, and I was thinking about the 21 or the 24 and the 30. The 21 club that we had was 21 contacts in 7 days, and you had 3 working days. So that's 7 days out of a month. So you had to have an A, and actually for a while it was the same A, so that you could see the progress. So she had the same A with you, which can be uncomfortable, especially when you're her father, you know, as she said that. However, there was an A. And because some of those no shows are not doing anything, is they're just hearing you selling something to them. There's not that validation by that third party. And most people are so uncomfortable with the ABC. They just feel like it's calling in that, you know, the extra salesperson when you go in to get, I got to bring my manager out or
You
whatever.
know what, Madeline, that's a great point. So let's talk about that.
I mean,
Sophia,
I didn't feel that way personally. I
yeah,
didn't feel
tell her
uncomfortable
why.
with
Why is
ABC.
it that you don't feel that that's the way that shows
I feel
up?
like that's actually like the best part of it, because it takes the pressure off me to explain everything. I don't have the personal experience. I haven't been doing this for 30 years. I haven't built myself a multi-million-dollar like business, you know? So in order for somebody to really look at this as a serious opportunity, they need to see what's possible. And what better way to know what's possible than to hear from the person who, you know, has what we all want. I think it's important that people know if they're joining me, they're joining my dad too. And he's the one, he is like the expert. He's the mentor. I probably wouldn't even be doing this if it wasn't for having my dad and having his wisdom. You know, like that's a big factor that for me, I was like, why am I not taking advantage of what this resource that I have at my fingertips? And I think it's like really important that anyone joining me knows that like you have this resource available too. Like you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. You have an expert here to leverage who is going to teach you everything you need to know and then help you teach others everything they need to know. So for me, it's
pause
like no.
for 1 second. So Sophia, the way you're coming across, the way you're explaining it to this audience, and subsequently the way you would discuss it with somebody you're talking to, is coming across as, hey, this is a resource, this is our partner, this is someone you would be in partnership with. So it's pretty important you get to know them, otherwise why would you join this team? That's
Right.
how you're presenting it, and it's logical. When do they first hear that they're going to be meeting me, or you're going to set up a call?
In the first call that I have with them.
Okay, so folks, this is the process I've been teaching. When you do the contact and invite, and you tell them what you would like them to do, what your offer is for them to go through this information process. One of the steps in that thing that you're asking them to do is to review some information and then to get on a call with somebody who is a partner so that you can meet the partner, meet the team, and have your questions answered from somebody who knows best. If you do that in the introduction, in the first conversation, the first call, the invitation, it is part of the process that you're asking them to go through, then it's expected, it's understood why. And then so when it oh, by the way, Sophia, so when do you actually book the date to do the ABC?
While I'm on the phone with them.
Okay, so in the
It's something
first
I learned
call,
quick. I learned if you don't put something in their calendar, it's not going to happen. And if you wait until after to text them, sometimes they beat around the question. So right while I'm on the phone with them, having that why conversation about like, why would I even want to introduce this person? Like, what are your personal needs right now? What are your goals in life? What are your passions, interests? Like, I want to get to know this person I'm speaking to so I could find out how would Nikan benefit them, you know, or help them achieve that lifestyle that they're after. And then once I know that stuff, maybe I know it already if they're like close friends of mine and I don't have to like ask questions. But if I don't know them that well, then I have to ask some questions and identify a need and then be like, and then invite them to take a look at this. Right. And so I'll say to them like a little bit about the opportunity and then just be like, I would love to get you 100% informed so you can make a decision for yourself about how this fits for you. And it may not be for you, and that's totally fine, but I just would want to invite you to learn more about it. How does that sound? And they'll be like, that sounds great. And then I'll be like, okay, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to send you a link. There's 4 videos to go through and it will give you some context about the business, the products, and the model. And then I want to get you on a call with my dad because, you know, if you partner with us, he's going to be your mentor. And I think it's important that you know him. So what's your availability looking like in the next few days? And I'll ask them for their availability. And I'll be like, okay, how does this time work for you for a call with me and my dad? We'll get all your questions answered. And you can hear a little bit about his story. Yeah, this time works. Okay, cool, great. I'll send you that link and have a great day. And that's how it goes. So I get the ABC like scheduled while I'm on the phone with them. So they know they're making a commitment to go through this information by that time and then come with questions prepared.
Okay.
I have a quick question,
Shoot.
Sophia.
Mhm.
The 4 videos that you're sending, are those Leo LeMay's, those 4 videos you're talking about?
No, we've made our own link. The website is sovereignlife.me. And the videos on there, the first is, it's like a video from Niken Global that they made.
Just
don't
so you
know.
know, you already know what she has on her page. It's also the Royal Alliance /a-better-way.
Yeah,
it's
there's the
identical.
Better Way presentation, there's the Water Matters presentation, and then there's a little like video about the waterfall. So it's just to give them like a little bit about the products, the waterfalls particularly, about the business model, that's the A Better Way. And then there's like a Niken Global video that just like is like it has like some testimonials of people talking about how Niken has like influenced their life and whatnot. So it's just like a little taster. It's not meant to give them the whole story. And I tell people that. I tell people just meant to give you some brief context. You can browse around the website. Maybe there'll be some other products that pique your interest. There's a catalog on there. But it's just to give you some brief overview so that when you come to the meeting with my dad, you know a little bit more about it and you're able to ask some questions. So yeah, that's what I tell people.
So what the page she's referring to is the same as the same page that the royalalliance.com/a-better-way. Same page, only hers looks like hers,
Yeah.
different skin. So
Something I know that my cousin likes to do, Elena, she likes to send people the 1% video, which I think I'm going to start doing as well, which
is
is a
that on the
presentation.
page? That's not
No.
on the page. Okay.
No, it's
So
like a
for those of
separate.
you who don't know, I did a video called Join the 1%. It's on YouTube and it's about 12 or so minutes long, I guess. It's really good. It was a presentation I was asked to do for Latin America. So I recorded myself doing cash flow quadrants with a context of Niken as a business. And I'm actually now incorporating a slide into my business plan presentation that encapsulates that. It's an overlay on top of the cash flow quadrants. But if you watch that video, you'll understand why she's recommending that's a video you send. So if we find that that's a video that becomes very useful in this process, what we would recommend is that you have a script that as a follow-up to the call. So we've now scheduled an ABC, we've got an appointment. She's going to send a text or an email, preferably likely a text, which is scripted. And in that script, it says, I'm looking forward to our next call.
I'll usually like customize it a little. So like what I'll say is like, hey, it was great talking to you today. I loved hearing about this, this, and this based on whatever they told me about themselves. So like, I loved hearing about your passion for traveling and learning through experiences. I loved hearing about your passion for fitness and helping people achieve their fitness goals, whatever it was that we talked about. I loved hearing about, you know, how you're ready to break free of your 9-to-5 and start living the way you've always dreamed. Like whatever it is, I'll just like reiterate something that they said to me. And then it also helps me when I go back to that conversation to remember, like, why was it that we were having this conversation? What was it that they said to me that I felt like made them a good fit for this business? So I'll do that, and then I'll send them the link and I'll say the first 4 videos are the ones that we recommend going through. However, like, feel free to browse around. And I look forward to having you meet my dad at this time, whatever time and day that we had discussed. And make sure you write down any questions so that we can get them all answered for you.
So they receive this link. Now, did you mention the 1% in the video link?
Sometimes I'll send it like before. I mean, I actually have only sent it once, but I know Elena will be like, she'll send it and she'll say like, go through before checking out the sovereignlife.me link, watch this first.
Okay, so what she's teeing up, that video tees up the
Or
opportunity.
you could even, what you could even do is like a few hours before the ABC is going to happen, you send them that video just as like a brief follow-up, you know?
The other video that
Yeah.
we encourage to use to further encourage that, like back in the day when you could visit with somebody, you could do a product demo right then and there. That would be enough to pique someone's interest to dig into the information. What we're finding right now, even though you book an ABC call, you still want to create a little bit of a spark to get them into the information. And so something that speaks to them could speak to them from the opportunity point of view is the 1% video. The other one that we're using is Tiny Miracles, the one with, I also uploaded this onto the same YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. I think it's called Tiny Miracles. It's that woman who had a breakthrough
That one is
testimonial
great,
with,
but you know what I'm finding? I don't think that resonates with people my age as much,
yeah, that's what I figured.
you know?
But
Because they're not
I'll
really,
tell you,
can't really relate to that, you
I'll
know?
tell you what's going to resonate with kids your age, Sophia. We need to ask Tiana to do a personal testimonial on how she feels about her introduction to her dad and what happened with his back this past weekend.
Yeah.
We can capture that because most of the kids your age have parents and they're going to have parents that have owies. Anyway, short story long, Tiana was introduced to Niken by Savannah. She decided to join last week. She purchased a water pack very next day. By the way, until that happens, okay, we're going to get back to that. So if you remind me to get back to that, until that decision. So she makes a decision. She purchases a water pack. Next day, she has me on an ABC call with her parents. That day, her parents ask a ton of questions. I think our call was an hour and a half long. Now, these people are already into wellness. They built a home that is all based on wellness principles. And by the end of it, I think they purchased somewhere like $2,400 of Niken products. They bought a sleep system. They bought MagFlex, just a bunch of things based on what they were telling me. And of course, now it's fingers crossed, right, for Tiana. She's hoping for the best. Well, they got the product. She's in one part of the country. They're in another. And they got the products, they unpackaged it. And the first thing that dad did was put that MagFlex in his back. And I kid you not, within 15 minutes, same as my story, this guy gets relief for the first time in a very long time. I asked Tiana, hey, can you check in on your dad? Like they should have gotten their products by now. She finds out she's over the moon. She starts texting in our chat messages and everybody gets excited because it is exciting. So we got to capture that testimonial on video because that'll really capture a bunch of interest. Anyway, I digress. The point is having one, maybe a business video as a lead or a product testimonial video that is your favorite as a lead to encourage them to get into dig into the website could be something to add to your text message when you send it out. So let's get back to that, Sophia. So, and we can do it a completely different meeting altogether on what is the process, even show your tracking form so they can see exactly how you're tracking it. Let's go back to something because we're going to get into some more nitty gritty before this call's over. One, did you notice any hesitation on the parts of people who were all over this and saying yes, 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 and then when it came down to doing something, hesitation, hesitation, hesitation? Did you notice that?
1,000%, yeah.
1,000%. Did anybody here? What's that?
More often than not.
More often than not. Okay, so does anybody experience that on a daily basis? You get them right up to the finish line, and they get really close, and then they go, and they hit the terror barrier. Anybody here have that? Raise your hand if you're experiencing, if you got people hitting the terror barrier all the time. Yeah, of course. Because you're now forcing them to confront the truth about who they are. Are they just yackers, or do they mean what they say? And it's the thing that I told Sophia and the girls at the very beginning. I think I've been asked this question more than once. What's the most difficult thing? The most difficult part of this business. I remember when it happened to me where I sort of transitioned. The most difficult part is having to deal with people who don't say what they mean and don't mean what they say. Especially especially if they're people you know and spend time with. Anybody here know what I'm talking about? Can I get an amen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. That's the hardest thing, because now it's your emotions at play. It's you keeping check on your emotions. And that's the hard part. It's
Mhm.
realizing that, hey, we're in the business hat now. I'm the CEO of a company. I can be happy, I can get excited and so forth, but I need to be objective before anything. Otherwise, I'm going to be a terrible business owner. There needs to be a level of objectivity. And that means recognizing stuff for what it is. Just recognize it for what it is. They hit a terror barrier. They're up against their paradigms. The best one is they talk to their friend who's in the box just with them, and they're taking the advice of an idiot friend of theirs instead of you who has the goods. That happens. Does anybody experience that at all?
Yep.
Yeah. So
A spouse or a significant.
or a spouse or a significant other is, oh, is that one of those pyramid things? Don't tell me you went and sucked yourself into one of those. You signed up on one of those things. I mean, does anybody get any of that? How have we survived? How have we thrived in spite of all that? You got to ask yourself, what does it take? That's going to be the answer to the last. That's the question I'm going to ask you guys to open up in the last 10 minutes of the call.
Next.
Wait, Barbara, wait, hold on to that thought. Sophia, you noticed the change in you noticed the change in Savannah, you noticed the change in Elena, you noticed the change in Tiana, and now you're going to see the change also in the Sophia. I've got a call with her tomorrow.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Nice.
So-
She's sick
so-
right now. That's nice that she's taking time to talk to you.
Yeah. So what did you notice happen? Not when they joined, it didn't happen when they signed up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us about what happened. What happened?
Actually, like, I feel like all the people who signed up with me now who didn't capitalize their business have either taken a step back or just gone silent. And that's been like 4 or 5 people now. So it's like a little bit discouraging, but at the same time, I want to attract the people who are like me, who are gonna commit to something when they say that they're going to commit to something, who are going to take advantage of every opportunity that comes their way. And so it's like I can let those people who said yes, right, and we're so excited, and then said no after, for really like no real valid reason. It's just all excuses when you actually like take some time to listen and get their feedback, which I have. Or just like a lack of ambition, really. It's like I could let that make me sad and discouraged, or I could just remind myself what Luis Kasuga said to me when I first started, which is that you thank the no's because they always bring you closer to the next yes. And I'm really looking for those like-minded individuals who are going to put the same energy into this that I'm willing to give. So I'm grateful that even after all this time, I really have one person that I'm working with seriously who has made a solid commitment, who has capitalized, who has purchased her own products, and who is messaging me about things and about customers. Like, I'm not having to chase after her, right? Whereas with everyone else, I'm having to like, all right, did you do this? Like, all right, are you going to be on our call tonight? Or like, you know, how did it go with that conversation? That person you were supposed to contact, right? Whereas the person who I have on my team who has made a personal investment in her business, she's to asking me questions. She's telling me, hey, I have this person interested. What do I say to them? She's like getting on the calls without me having to ask her. So she has a call with my dad tomorrow. I didn't even know about it, you know? So that's what I mean is like, there's a huge shift that happens before and after somebody makes a personal investment. They will not take action. They will not talk to someone else until they do that.
Or worse, they'll experiment with their future and this business by talking to somebody before they themselves have made a commitment, and talk themselves out or be talked out of the business because they're not invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
which I'm guessing.
That's what I've noticed has happened like several times over the like months now. Like the latest being that just this morning, I had one of my friends who literally was so weird, like a week and a half ago, telling me how one of her, like the way she makes money, she's like a ghostwriter basically, and how the company she works for like dropped half their clients. So she was taking like a 50% paycheck, and she's like, this came at the perfect opportunity. And then today I'm asking her for her feedback about like why she's decided to take a step back. And she's like, well, I realize I don't have any like real goals with it. And I was like, well, because I had asked her like, what are your goals? And that's what kind of like made her take a step back. And I was like, well, do you not want to make more money right now? And she was like, no, like I'm not really focused on that. And I was like so confused because I was like,
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is, Sophia. If she'll
know,
lie
like,
about that, she'll lie
I'm
about
just
other
like,
things
what
too.
is it's just interesting how people will say they want something, and then like some time will go by and they'll like have somehow talked themselves out of it, or like lowered their ambition, lowered their goal.
Okay, that's
because
good.
they're not willing to
That's
do
an
the
opportunity.
uncomfortable
So let me just recap something. Until the financial investment was made, action's not taken. And
Right.
so one of
This
the
is
reasons,
someone who didn't make a financial investment. All
So
the
what-
people who have backed away have been the people who haven't made a personal financial
okay,
investment.
so how is that knowing that now, how's that going to impact the way you handle the process? At what point in time are you going to bring that up?
Well, I did it today with Isabel. Although she didn't end up purchasing anything right away, I told her that. I told her the people who actually take action in this business are the people who make a personal investment. If you don't, you're not going to do anything. And if nothing happens, nothing happens. And there's, it is, you get what you put into it. So I am very straight up and upfront with people about that. And I tell them what you said to me, which was start somewhere between nervous and excited. If you're not nervous, you didn't spend enough.
Perfect. All right. So folks, what
And then
advice,
I'll follow up with her on that, on
Yeah.
making that.
what advice do you have for Sophia with respect to, or for that matter, anybody listening to this playback, with respect to those disappointments, those things that happen? Any advice?
Go out and talk to more people. Just around more other people. Otherwise, you think about it too much. It's easy to think about it and then feel bad.
That reminds me of an exercise that I like to do in a training. I take out a deck of cards and I put 4 aces, hold them in my hand. In front of the audience, I put each ace somewhere in the deck and I shuffle the cards and I say, those are your aces. Those are your 4 diamonds. Now, we're going to turn these cards over one at a time. That's you making contact with people. You turn over the card. Oh, not an ace. Oh, turn over another card. Well, you go through this exercise and you're going to turn up about 10 or 15 cards before anything shows up. And I usually like to ask, how many of you are ready to quit? By now you've heard everything, right? And you're ready to quit. Then you just keep turning those cards. And you saw me put the aces in the deck. You know they're there. Our job is not to turn a jack into an ace. Our job is to find the ace. So keep turning over the cards. So any other advice? Guys, you've been through this. Come on. How did you deal with it?
I'd like
Wes,
to
you
share.
unmuted. Okay, wait, Ruth and then
Sorry.
Wes.
Sorry. So I have learned to not be attached to the outcome. So this way there's no disappointment because everybody has their own reasons. My job is to make sure they have the right education so they can make the best decision for themselves. But if they choose not to, that's okay.
Awesome. I'm going to get to Mrs. Kramer next after Wes. Wes.
Yeah, I kind of accidentally unmuted myself, but now that you asked, I really like what you just said about the deck of cards. I mean, that is by far the best advice I heard all this evening. But the other thing was the ABCs and how important they are, because I've never done an ABC that wasn't successful with my upline or my downline. If we don't do an ABC, it's not successful.
I'm doing ABCs. everyone that went through this process had at least one ABC, maybe more, and maybe even came to a team call. But what seems to be happening is like a week will go by and they'll reverse their situation. Like they'll reverse their decision. Like people will fully like become a consultant and then tell me that they feel like they can't commit the time, or they don't want to let the team down. And I don't know if there's a problem in the way that we're like communicating it, because we are very upfront about the fact, like, we are starting a movement here. Like, we're trying to do something big. And I don't know if that's overwhelming for some people. And they see that, you know, we're trying to create this like team dynamic and this community feeling, and they feel the pressure to keep up with the team, which for those people who want to run, who want accountability, that's a great thing. But for those who don't want that, it scares them away. So these are things that I'm playing around with, and trying to kind of navigate around, because it's like this delicate balance between, yes, we want people to like adopt Nikan and fit it into their life in whatever capacity they can, but at the same time, we're looking to create real momentum, and we want the movers and shakers to like run with us. So it's like being able to kind of accommodate both.
So the ABC isn't really an end in itself. ABC
No.
is the opening of the door. And what you really want to do is you don't want to just introduce them to your business partner, but you want them to take an interest in your business partner, and your business partner to take an interest in them, and establish another relationship there, because that'll be much stronger than the relationship that you have with them. And unfortunately, too many times in my past, I connected people up for an ABC, and then I took over after that. And that was really the wrong thing. I was most successful when my sponsors took over. And when I helped somebody else, they got in trouble when they tried doing it themselves, and instead of letting their sponsor do it. And that's really need to step up that ABC into something more. And I don't know how else to call it except get the B out of there.
Good. That's really good advice. I mean, that's what Nikan has taught us from the very, very beginning, that the marketing plan is the ABC. We used to use flip charts, and it was one page on the flip chart, and it said marketing plan ABC. That was it. That was the instruction. Our marketing plan was the ABC, the concept of the ABC, which is what was developed in Japan.
Well, Dave talked about that too. You know, when he talks about digging down in the depth, you got to work the depth, you know, and that's right. And that's how you do it. I mean, you have to pick it up right away. Well,
I've seen that my dad's willing to work with the people who capitalize their business. Right. That seems to be your interest, Papa.
Yeah, we'll probably end up having a separate chat group for the movers and shakers to distinguish those who want to listen to the chatter of people who are, you know, active and engaged versus those who just want to be part of it and are not ready for that yet. We'll figure it out. But anybody else have, I think it was Mrs. Kramer, you're sitting there with your hand up. Do you have, there's Madeline's holding up the actual graph. There it is. And you can see in the background of that graph, it's a lever, it's leverage. It's like you're lifting, yeah. Mrs. Kramer, do you have a comment? You're muted still. Okay, I guess not. Your hand is still up, but
yeah.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I had to unmute. I thought I did. One of the first things that I learned some 12 years ago from Carrie Glickstein was that when you do an ABC, you introduce the A, and then you don't say another word, you know. And so that's just a short on that one. When I begin to feel a little disappointed with whatever, then I try to remind myself that that I had an expectation, and I would, for example, if we're doing the cards and we're looking for that, I would expect the very next card to be the ace, or the very next the very next thing that the person does is buy a product, if we're talking about customers. And when you go through the card, it's very unlikely that the very next card is going to be the ace when you start to turn them over. So
So-
that's how I deal with the disappointment.
So
Uh-huh.
it's,
People
You're
don't
sa-
mean what they say, and they don't say what they mean.
right. So what you're saying is that you shouldn't take it personally, that you should just simply turn over the next card and let the chips fall as they will. You know, everybody on this call is an example of a yes. And that means there are yeses, and I have many thousands of them in my organization that that are not accountable to me. They're accountable to themselves and their own goals and ambitions. So, but it started at the beginning. Somebody had to give birth to this team, this organization. It started with me, and it started with me being very diligent about it. And in fact, one of the things I talk about is bulletproofing your success. How you can bulletproof your success is to do what I did, go like a bat out of hell. And you've got so many people that you're dealing with, you don't even have time for the no's. It's like, thanks. Okay, next. It's just, you get so busy.
Every single card that you turn over that's not the ace gets you closer to the one that is. It's like
Exactly.
the hymn that says, you know, go for the
Exactly.
nose.
And the universe is watching. You know, we talk about law of attraction on this call, and Sophia is an expert. She really, really does know this information. And the law of attraction is the focus intention. And when the focus intention is there, it's not looking for the answer every turn of the card. It just knows the answer is coming. It knows that. And it knows that as you continue to put energy into the system, it must return to its source. It knows that. So all we have to do is continually conduct ourselves in a way that's in alignment with that law, and it will produce the outcome because it's only possible that way. But when we start doubting, when we start looking at every transaction, every cause effect and thinking, then that's when we're sort of stepping into the domain of the universal mind of creator. It's like, no, don't, you know, you can tell me you want the love of your life, but don't tell me it's got to be that guy on that, in that, you know, that suit over there. Let me bring you the love of your life and it'll be happy anyway. So the universe knows how to put two and two together. We just got to trust that process, and how we demonstrate to the universe that we're committed to that process is by staying committed to the process. I think it was Richard Brooke. He does a talk. He says, you got to fall in love with the process. You got to fall in love with the process. So it's just the process of exposing people, awakening them, even the tough part, the tough love, even exposing them to their own lack of ambition, or exposing them to their lack of integrity, that they can say things they don't mean and mean things they don't say. Ruth, you have your hand up.
I do. I just wanted to make sure I also share that it's still about relationship, right? It's just like what Barb Satterwhite talks about. People will do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And we can't lose focus of that, because that's part of our integrity and our sincerity and authenticity. So I just want to.
So be who you are, and that's it.
Yeah.
And by the way, who's to say that a no is a no? A no is just a not now. Yeah. Linda, you have your hand up, and then we'll go to Barb, and then we'll call it a night.
Yes. When I first joined, I learned from one of our top people. I don't think any longer with the business, but you'll know his name without me saying it. He left something with me that still sticks on these 15 years later, that when we're dealing with this as building a team, we are headhunters, we're casting directors, we're like HR reps. And everybody that comes to be interviewed is not going to be the right person for that position. So it's a combination of that. Continue to add on to your pipeline. We have pipelines that go on and on and on. And you never know, one day out of the blue, you get a phone call from someone from 10 years ago. Are you still doing that magnet thing? Oh yeah, I'm ready. You know, with COVID and all going on, I'm looking for work. I remember what you shared with me. I came across your postcard, your business card. So always give out tools. And the third is it's all about timing, the timing of the people that you're talking to. We would love to see them do it yesterday, but whatever fear, whatever they have to go through, they have to go through that. We'll let them know that you're always available. That's why we always keep our same, of course, our websites, our phone numbers. And then many times you're just going on sneaking around like Dennis says, and one day you get a phone call from someone from 5 years ago, where someone's mother has an issue, and we met you at a convention, we saw you at the fair, and she kept your business card. And that one person can turn everything around.
Yep. Very good. Thank you.
Just stay consistent and don't let no's stop you, because it's all part of the process. And congratulations, Sophia. You're quite an inspiration. You got a proud papa sitting there.
Thank you, Linda. That was a really great advice. I feel like I really needed to hear that tonight.
Congratulations. Keep on doing your thing.
Barbara.
I'm just going to reiterate some of what you said, Mike. The deck process, the cards. Richard Brooke teaches that at least once in every one of his seminars to get the point across. And it does work. The know now, as Ben said in number of presentations he did a while ago, it takes 8 to 12 connections before somebody might say yes. And some of the courses that I've been taking, some of the people have admitted that they were approached 7 or 8 times before the time was right. The no at the time was, the timing isn't right for me now, but stay in touch. And this has come true because I've been reconnecting with former consultants and customers. And I had a former consultant reach out to me just a few weeks ago when we had the incentive program, and has just registered as a customer. Well, he was a registered customer because even though he'd gone on to a couple more companies that didn't work out, he didn't give up his number. So he was a registered customer. He placed an order. When he has submitted his 20% incentive, his plan is to upgrade to a consultant again in September. And I mean, he'd been in the business 15 years ago, and he's tried a couple of other businesses along the way. Delightful person. Never gave up on the Nikan products, continued to use them, but all of a sudden had a need for Nikan and reached out to me.
So thank you for that, Barb. Let me recap then. So basically, you never know when somebody's timing is going to change, but if you keep on good terms with somebody, cut them loose, let them know, no problem. Just keep on good terms. Now's not a good time for you. Now's not a good time for you. We'll see in a month or 2 or 3,
Yeah.
We'll revisit this and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings a little bit more relief to the tension as well, because then you don't have to feel like there's something wrong. It's just a no, not now, for whatever reason. Trust me, if in 3 months' time they still see and hear what you're doing, they're not going to let you get too far away if this is at all in their purview. Well, we got to wrap up this call. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow's the 10th, which means as of tomorrow, people can claim their reward points from last month's incentive. So be sure to get on to that with whoever can take advantage of it. Don't let that slip away. There's also get 3 for the price of 2 insoles, which they can use their incentive to take advantage of. That's a real double whammy. I want to say thanks everybody for contributing to tonight's call. This is a great recording. I hope you decide to share it with people, because I think they could really learn a lot from it in terms of what it takes, what it means to achieve silver, some of the ups and some of the downs, and how to turn things around as well. I'm sure you're as impressed as I am when you hear Sophia talk. She seems to have her act together. She knows what she's saying. When she does her contacts and invites, her scripts come out of her effortlessly. And that's after 25 calls. Can you imagine when we get to, 50, 100, 150, what we're going to be hearing? So we're looking forward to your trainings, Sophia, in the near future. And so that's it for tonight. I don't know what I can add to that. Upcoming calls and so forth. Check the schedule. We do have, by the way, Sophia, Elena, and Savannah are going to be on Ladies Leading Ladies. That's tomorrow night at 9 p.m. So if you want to hear the three of them, kind of a precursor to what's coming up for the August 21 Seikokai, they're also going to be featured there. Plug into tomorrow night's call, promote tomorrow night's call, because I'm going to be interviewing them and I'm going to extract from them their motives, what it is that they see about this at their age, at this time, that I think could be also an amazing call for somebody who's listening in as a guest. So take advantage of inviting a guest. So just know tomorrow night on Ladies Leading Ladies, that's at 9 p.m. this channel, this same YouTube channel, or excuse me, Zoom channel. I'm going to be featuring, they're going to be featuring, Heather's going to be featuring me as a guest interviewer. And maybe Heather will co-host with this and ask some questions
The
herself.
speakeasy is kind of bring a brew, and it's like a networking. It's like when you go to big events and there's a presenter, everybody's out in the hall talking. It's that
Yeah.
speakeasy time or the bar time where you get more work done.
Cool. So that's what's happening tomorrow night. And yeah, don't want to miss that for sure. So invite some people. I'm sure it's going to be really, really informative, exciting, interesting. And when the three of them get on a roll, I kind of sit back and learn.
Smile,
All right.
be proud. Yes.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.